Hey, it's Trey with the Trey Brews channel. Got another 1 gallon kit from Brew. It's their Belgian Abbey Dubbel. So this kit comes with everything we need for a 1 gallon batch of this beer. First things first, we have the specialty grains with the bag that we put those in. Then we've got the Pilsen Light dried malt extract, 1.5 pounds of that. Some amber Belgian candy sugar, which is exclusive to this recipe. And with that, we have the special note that we stir in this sugar at 5 minutes left in the boil until it's fully dissolved. Then you actually let this beer ferment for 4 weeks. So that's different as well. And then, of course, we have hops. Golding's hops for bittering, added at the beginning of that 60-minute boil. And then Saw's hops added at 15 minutes left, and that's for flavor. So we also have the one-step no-rinse sanitizer, and the most important part, the yeast. So we've got back here about a gallon and a half, maybe a gallon and a quarter or so of water, heating up to about 160 degrees. We'll get the grains in the bag and get them steeping over there. Our specialty grains, they're a little darker. Gonna drop them into the kettle here. Start a timer for 15 minutes. There we go. Just let these steep for 15 minutes and we'll come back at that time. Alright, so we let the grains steep. I said 15 minutes earlier, and that's what I set the timer for, but I ended up steeping them for 20 minutes, just to make sure I get everything out of them that I can. But I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat up, remove these grains, and actually before I do that, I'll show you, this is very dark beer, or wort so far. Let's see if I can, yeah. Very dark beer right now. I keep calling it beer, I'm sorry, it's wort. But bring the temperature up so that we get started at a boil. And once we get up to that temperature, that's when we'll add in the dry malt extract. Alright, so we've got the wort up to where it's just about to start being a rolling boil. So I'm taking my firm cap here, doing 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of this firm cap, which I'll show here. Basically, you put in 2 drops per gallon. We don't have a full 2 gallons, but I went ahead and did 4 drops. And what that does is that breaks the surface tension. So if we have a boil over, it's going to highly prevent that. Got our malt extract. I'm going to go ahead and begin pouring that in here slowly. Watch for boil overs at this time. Basically, this is very simply put, a definite place you can get some boil overs. So I'm just going to stir this in. And then once it's all mixed in, we'll bring the wort back up to a full rolling boil, start a 60-minute timer, and add in the hops. Okay, so this pains me to say this. I messed up, but I gotta be honest with you guys. So, here's what I did. These hops were supposed to be added at 2 different times, one at 60 minutes, and then one at 15 minutes left. And my silly self, my past 2 batches, you add all the hops in at the beginning. So I accidentally put all of the hops in this bag. So I feel really silly, but like I said, I'd rather be honest with everybody. I'd be missing a step. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm confident it's still going to come out well, but just if anybody's following this recipe with me, I want to make you aware. So, I gift up, but anyway, drop the hops in. We're going to come back in 45 minutes when there's 15 minutes left into the boil and add some Irish moss, and I'll explain that at that time. Just set my timer over here for 16 minutes, which is really 15 minutes, but I wanted to explain what this does. So we've got a little bit of, Irish moss here. Basically, well, let me drop it in here first. So as you can see though, it's in water. I'll explain that in just a moment. Get that dropped in, get all that there. So, this is the pack of Irish moss that I've got. Basically, you use a teaspoon per 5 gallons at the last 15 minutes of the boil. So we got 15 minutes, 10 seconds, it's fine. You rehydrate it before use, that's why it was in that water. Simply put, you put that in here, stir it around a little bit, but it will extract all of the sediment and particles in the wort, so that once we cool it down and when we add it to the fermenter, it's going to pull all that stuff down to the bottom of the kettle, and then we won't pour that into the fermenter, so that we end up with a much clearer beer. Alright, we are 5 minutes left into the boil, so I'm taking my candied sugar that I showed, dropping that in. Then we'll just leave this in until it dissolves, which they said it should take about 5 minutes. Okay, we are approaching the end of the 60-minute boil now. I'm going to give this one last stir. The timer's basically done, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. I got my water running over here. I'm going to take the hops out, put this lid on, and get it into an ice bath. Cool it down to 75 degrees, actually probably about 65 to 70 degrees, and then continue on from there. As our wort is cooling down in the sink over here, I'm going to go ahead and add everything into my sanitizing bucket that I've got. This is full of star sand, and I've already got the big spoon in here, so I can stir that down while it's cooling. I'm also going to add the funnel. Anything that touches the wort between now and when it's in the fermenter, including the fermenter actually, is going to be sanitized. So we've got the thermometer that we'll use to check the temperature of the wort, the bung goes into the carboy, the scissors that will cut open the yeast packet, the hose, and lastly, the cup that we'll use in the blow-off assembly, which I'll show. So we also have the yeast packet, which will be sanitized. I'm gonna wait until we actually really need that to sanitize that, so that it doesn't get too hot. So just gonna get everything sanitized here, and then which includes the carboy, which is over there. That'll be all sudsy in the next clip, I'm sure. But once this is down to temperature, we'll get it in that fermenter and go back from there. Alright, so we got the wort chilled down to 65-ish degrees. Maybe you can see the bubbles in here from the star sand, so that's been sanitized, as has the funnel. So we're going to go ahead and pick this up and pour it into here. Alright, we had to add just a little bit of water, which is fine. I actually had a tiny bit left of wort down in there, but I decided to use water instead of the wort because most of what was in there was junk. There was a lot of sediment, the Irish moss, which we didn't want to get in here, a little bit of remains of the hops. So we've got all the wort in here that we needed. There's maybe a cup of water or so that we added, so not much at all. But we're just mixing this in just like this now. Aerate it for about a minute or two. Take off the bung, add the yeast, and mix that back in. And then we'll go into the office, which is where I keep all of my brewing stuff. Alright, everything's aerated. Just sanitize my hands again. And pitch the yeast. Again, the packet, as well as the scissors, and my hands, have all been sanitized. So, you don't have to worry about the pack touching the carboy. Get all that yeast in there. Every drop counts. So, put the bung back on, and we will mix this in. Alright, we're in the office, aka brewing station. So, here's the Belgian Abbey Dubbel that we just finished. Got the bung on top with the hose running over to this cup full of sanitizer. So this one's going to be a little bit different. We ferment for 4 weeks instead of about 2 weeks. But that's the end of this video. We've done our brew day. Come back in about probably 6 to 7 weeks actually between now and when we get to try this one. But I will have a link somewhere on the screen where you can watch the tasting and reviewing of this beer when that comes out. So if you like the video, or like my videos, be sure to subscribe, and in the description of the video I'll have a link to my website where I post blog updates, that type of thing, and I'll also have a link to where you can purchase this kit from Craft a Brew. Thank you!